Jim, Darren Smith, thank you very much for a couple minutes.
Oh, Darren, thanks for having me on.
I appreciate it. Congratulations. You guys, you have an awful lot going on right now. I don't want to shortchange the women here, but we're talking mostly about the men today. You find out where the women go, so it sounds like it's a pretty exciting time to be in your seat.
Yeah, it is. At 4 o'clock, that selection show starts, so we do it all again, and our teams and coaches and staff preparing to send everybody to Columbus, and then we'll find out where we need to send the women in a little bit.
Okay, so fair enough. So you get to go to both, or how does that work for you?
I'll try to work it out. Yeah, we'll see when and where, and then we'll see if logistically it's possible.
Well, congrats. Like I said, we'll spend the majority of time talking about the men's team today. And I would just ask you this. I don't know. Would you ever want to serve on the selection committee? Because they ask a lot of athletic directors. If they ever came a call into Jim Sterk and said, hey, would you like to serve on this thing? Would you do it?
I turned the opportunity to be in the mix or, to be selected 2 years ago when I first got here because it takes a tremendous amount of time, and I needed to focus my energies, especially being new here, on what needed to get done here. So, but it would if you're staffed really well and you can be away from your job a lot, because it does require that, especially, at this period of time where, the last 2 weeks and then you go wherever, they send you and assign you. You're assigned a region to go to. So you follow those teams all the way through. So it's a tremendous commitment.
So they've asked and you turned it down, maybe somewhere down the road.
Maybe somewhere down the road.
Okay.
Yeah.
Overall, just generally speaking here, how good of a job do you think they do?
I think it's one, you can't please everybody, and I think they do a pretty good job with it. There's always questions and why, but I think with the the RPI and now it's more public what that is, and it's out there. More ahead of time of who should be in and who maybe is on the bubble, and Joe Denardi does a great job. I mean, I don't know what his percentage was, but I think going in, it was in the 80s of selecting the seed actually of where people are. So there must be some science to it.
I think he got 66 out of 68, which, again, is like, wow.
Yeah.
I guess somebody's cracked this formula out there. Overall, about what you'd expected, getting a 6 seed.
Yeah, I had hoped if we won the tournament that we could slip into a 5 or a 4 possibly, but I think this is about where we thought we were and should be, and a tough draw with NC State, but we're excited to be in it, and the coaches were busy going to work yesterday afternoon as soon as the selection show was done.
We're talking to Jim Sterk, athletic director at San Diego State. I figured you guys were about a 6 as well, and maybe you could help me out on this. How do you find out, or do you have any reason or any explanation why you're that 6 seed? You could have been one of 4 6 seeds in this country. Does anybody explain to you why they selected you for that 6 seed?
No, once in a while you can talk to a committee member after it's all done and get a little bit, but it's very, very complicated and why, and it just depends on what teams win and lose and where things work out. But I would have preferred to be in Portland or Albuquerque. That would have been great, but Columbus is a fine place, and we'll make it work.
Now, how about timings of games? I don't know if you find out as soon as the draw is released or as soon as they give out the bracket information. Do you know immediately what time of day you guys are going to play?
Not immediately. We found out later, actually, last night. That we were playing at 12:40, I think it is, so 9:40 our time. Something that's not an attractive time to play. We were hoping for later in the day, give our kids a little time to wake up, West Coast time. But you deal with what what they give you, and I think our coaches will do a great job of preparing the team to play at any time, anywhere, and Fisher has shown that. So I'm excited.
Some of your fans, as much as they're excited to be in the tournament, if there's been a couple of complaints, it's been having to travel as far as any 6 seed has had to travel, and the start of the game. Have you heard those complaints? Is there merit to that?
I think there is. You'd like to be able to, play at least, within a couple hours of your time zone. But I think, there's challenges all over. And I know you were talking about them earlier of, Gonzaga's, draw and others like that. It's not a perfect science, and there must have been reasons, and, maybe we find out why. We were sent all the way out there, but it's a little bit better than Providence, Rhode Island, but not much.
Yeah, I hear. I think, they're kids too. I mean, they're 20-year-old kids. They could figure it out. And plus, you guys, at least you have the benefit of playing on the extra day, so it's not like you have to be out there and ready at 9:40 a.m. on Thursday. You can get out there and see the arena on Thursday and then play again on Friday. So I guess that helps a little bit.
It does, and it gives the coaches and team, they got to not give a day off today as far as physical work. But if we were leaving tomorrow, they would have had to get in a lot of work today, and so it gives them a time, the kids to get a chance to catch up on their academics, check in with their professors, and tell them, oh, by the way, we're leaving Wednesday. So we'll probably leave around between noon and 2, something like that, and try to get out there before it gets too late on the Eastern time zone.
Is there any information that you guys want to, or that you would like to give your fans that might be listening right now? I don't know if you guys do anything in terms of sponsorship or travel or any recommendations or anything like that, but is there anything you want to say to the fans since we have you here?
Yeah, just that we'll have some kind of event. We'll wait and see what the women's draw is, and we don't know when the team is leaving exactly. The men will leave before the women, but we'll probably do a little rally in front of Viejas along 55th side and have an event there. But we'll be sending out information on that and have a send off to the team. But we've just appreciated the tremendous support and the atmosphere that's been created at Viejas, and it's been a great season for both teams, and we're excited to have both of them in. Probably, we'll see when the women's draw comes, but 12, maybe a little bit more than that as far as the number of schools in the country that, out of the 300 plus schools that have men's and women's basketball, that have both of them in. So it's a tremendous honor, and I know our teams will represent us very well.
Wow, that school must have a pretty good athletic director.
Yeah.
Everybody just gave me the sign though that like they pretended like they were puking on the air when I said
right. That's Marty. Don't do that. But yeah. No, it's really been great to be here, and as you know, I feel blessed to be here, and it's a great group of people I work with, and it doesn't happen without those kind of people working in the department and coaching in the department. So a lot of great things to celebrate now and in the future.
Now, were you nervous yesterday? Because we just talked with Mark Gottfried, and his team was sitting on the bubble. I said to myself, wow, they're going to wait until the final bracket, and you guys will probably get the 6th seed as I'm just sitting there on the couch. Was there any seeds of doubt at all that you guys wouldn't get called yesterday?
You start to have the flicker when you're down to that last little pod, and we're not called, thinking, did they screw up somehow? But when Colorado State was selected, then, for sure we're in. And I think the body of work that the team did ahead of time, really, put us in a position so we could relax and enjoy it and just find out who we were playing. Now, women's basketball, there was pressure on them when, Beth, after the game, I said, well, you could sleep tonight. And that's true, because even though we won the regular season, if we didn't win the tournament, there was a strong possibility of not making the NCAA tournament. So it was great for them to clinch it and make sure that we were going.
Well, Jim, I would ask, and we're talking to Jim Sterk, athletic director at San Diego State. You guys, as a conference, get 4 schools in, which is great. I wonder, though, what's the message being sent now to a school like Washington, in your opinion, that goes out, wins its regular season? It won the regular season. It trips up in the conference tournament and doesn't get in. We haven't seen that, at least with one of those conferences yet. What's the message there as to the importance of the regular season?
Well, I think that your non-conference schedule is important, and being from the Northwest, I know their strategy. A lot of times they play almost all their non-conference games at home. and they get some bunnies in there, and so they pad their schedule going into the Pac-10. So I think that's the message, is that you have to, you better play a strong enough non-conference, and then be successful in your conference as well.
It just seems a little odd, that you reward teams like, and again, mid-major conferences, smaller conference schools, you reward them for playing better competition even if they lose. I guess the question would be, is it better to play a big conference school and lose than it is to play a mid-major school and win?
Depending on what the mid majors RPI ends up being at, and that's the challenge. Sometimes you schedule those games and you think you've got a tough schedule, and then they don't end up being as strong as you thought when you beat them or you lost to them, and so that can hurt you too. You have to have your strategy, and you have to play well, and in the end it's just win, baby. that takes care of everything, and you have that success at the end.
Now you guys will be playing at 9:40 local time on Friday. Do you have the power to give students the day off from school on Friday?
I don't have any kind of power like that, but I think there'll be some. I think Friday is a slow class day. There's not as many classes on Friday, so I think there could be a lot of people watching basketball around.
Not as many classes, or not as many students in class?
And probably not as many classes offered on Fridays. So I think the professors have it off too. So they'll all be watching.
Will you make a recommendation to the new school chancellor, to the new school president, that maybe we suspend class until noon?
Well, I know he'll be with me, so we've changed his schedule, and he's coming. So he's excited about it, and made it for the championship game. Actually, the previous night and the last two games of the Mountain West Conference. So it was great to have him. He's very supportive. Elliot Hirschman has just done a great job coming in, and I know somewhere Steve Weber's very, very excited about what's going on here too.
All right, for all the students out there, I tried, but Jim Sterk wouldn't bite on that one. Do you have? Is there any official athletic department statement about Jamal Franklin and what happened during the Mountain West Conference tournament?
Well, nothing more than Steve has said. We've focused on what we need to do about it, and Jamal made his statement, and we're just ready to move on and play games, and if there's something more, the conference knows about it, and they may do something, but we're moving on. We've got to prepare a team and to head to Columbus and prepare another women's team to go somewhere shortly. So we're moving on, and I know Jamal has, and he's focusing, and the team's focusing on North Carolina State.
Yeah, see, I would just think as the AD, now that's do you feel compelled to look further into it yourself, even without Jamal, just because nobody should ever have to deal with something like that?
Yeah, and that's the challenge, and it's if we can find and if we can find video, and if someone heard, and I know there were callers on earlier today about they had experienced some of that there, and it's a heck of a lot easier to deal with it if you have it at the moment, as opposed to backtracking and trying to find it. But I know that the Mountain West Conference did a great job with the tournament, and you can't. Unfortunately, there's crazies out there that are they feel because they buy a ticket they can be jerks, and the best thing to do, and I can tell people, is to let an usher know and get a security person and get that person removed, and we deal with that, and we try to create an environment that's positive, and but there's all kinds of people in this world. Unfortunately
is right. Well, Jim, we'll let you go on this. I said it off the top of the show. I don't know many athletic directors at San Diego State in the history. 3 NCAA tournaments, 2 bowl games, just speaking about your 2 most popular sports. Something to be said about making an entrance, huh?
Oh, yeah. As I said, great people. They're, our men's basketball and football programs have the best record in the country over the last 2 years, the combined record of those two sports, and we've got great people leading them, and great student athletes and staff that are helping make it all happen, and the people of San Diego have really risen up and supported, and we just appreciate that, and we want to do everyone proud and have some success here, and that's what's going on, and we're excited about the future. So thanks, Darren. I appreciate it.
Thank you. Appreciate it, Jim. Good luck tonight and good luck this weekend.
Okay. Thank you.